Or now, Tyler, in just a second. Perfect. Okay. Now it's on. Thank you.
Now we're recording. What's up, everybody? My name is Tyler. I have a YouTube channel called Tarver. I got a couple YouTube channels, but the main one that's focused on education is called Tarver Academy. If you want to check that out, you can maybe ask some targeted questions. I've been on YouTube for 13 years and been putting educational content on there for over 11 years. So I have, I'm not an expert by any means, but I have made the rounds in the YouTube world, especially with regards to education. So any questions you guys have, holla at your boy, ask it in the chat. I will answer it. And if you want, we've got some links. I think they're linked in the chat. I don't know if you guys can see it that came in later. If not, they're on the screen. The main one to get to this presentation is bit.ly/Tarver Spark. So if you want to grab those, you can have them and you can have all the links on there. Ask any questions you got. We're going to get rolling because I have 20 minutes and I'm notorious for running out of time and just speeding through in the last minute. So I'm going to try to get done early if possible. That way you guys can ask questions. That's what I would love. I would love to answer questions. So I'm going to try to roll through this. But again, ask questions at any time you want. So on the second slide, if you got the presentation, I've got it to where it skips to those sections. There's three main things I want to talk about with today's talk on YouTube. Number one, I want to hit you with the basics. A lot of you guys are doing video, you're doing virtual stuff. You might have a YouTube channel. You might be wanting to start a YouTube channel. You might have your kids, your students that want to start YouTube channels because they do. They all want to be YouTubers. They want to travel the world and meet Mr. Beast and Casey Neistat and Peter McKinnon, and they want to have a YouTube channel. So I don't blame them. It's dope. There's some really cool stuff. Oh, thank you. Somebody see my videos. I appreciate that. Hopefully you liked them. Hopefully they weren't annoying. So part two, I'm going to talk about Revenge of the Story. I'm going to talk about a couple different story frameworks you can use as you are building out stories and content for your students. And part three, we're going to talk about what are the key components. I call it the 4 C's of building a YouTube channel. Okay, so y'all ready? Y'all ready to rock and roll? Okay, so we're going to go through this. Boom. All right, so first thing is education's changing, learning's changing. We know this. You guys are innovators. You see how learning's changing. And for a lot of teachers, this is, it's threatening to them in being a teacher because they find their value in the presentation of the curriculum. And they think, well, if there's YouTube teachers, if there's people on YouTube that they can go learn from, what purpose do I serve in the teaching process? Well, what I always tell teachers is you now serve the most important part of the process, which is connecting and learning your students as individuals and helping them grow and bridge the gaps in their learning. Because if our core goal as teachers is to stand in front of the class and present curriculum, then I don't think we got into the right profession. We should have been presenters. We want to be teachers. The point of being a teacher is that you have people learn. And so the most important part of that is connecting with your students. So how do we keep students engaged? So I'm not saying this to be like, oh, I'm in my doctorate program, but I am doing my dissertation right now. And my dissertation is focusing on what keeps people's attention in online educational videos. And all the research studies that I'm going through, there are 2 main, like by far, like it's not even close. This is the bar graph. It's like every other reason is right here. And then these 2 reasons are down here. The main 2 reasons students will stop watching educational videos on the internet is because they are confused, they don't understand what's happening, or they don't see how it applies to them. So every time you're making a video for your students, every time you're creating content for your students, your classes, your buildings, or any students on the internet, the top 2 things you always have to be rolling through your mind is, are they confused about where we are right now? And did they see how this applies to them? So students, if you're like, say you're making the video for your students in your class and you want them to be able to connect with that video. Well, number one, you should be on it. That's just straight up. That's what a lot of the research studies show as well. Students connect when they know the person that's on there. So either you be on there or find a consistent YouTuber that you can keep showing because they start feeling that connection with that YouTuber, okay? But the whole time you're making that video, you need to reinforce what is expected of them throughout this and show them how it's going to apply to what they need to do in the learning process as learners. How are they going to learn. How does this apply? Holly, great question. How does this apply to adults too? The exact same way. Because a ton of these research studies, because Holly, I know you're in higher ed, a ton of these research studies that I'm looking at, they're applying to like nursing schools, doctorate program, like people becoming doctors, medical doctors. You've got a bunch, some overseas studies. Like this stuff applies to adults as well. Think of any, okay, so there's only two reasons anybody watches a YouTube video. It's either because they want to be educated or they want to be entertained. Okay, the best videos do both, but they want to be educated or entertained. If I'm going there to be educated and I don't understand what is happening, I'm going to click off of it. I'm going to go somewhere else. I have options. Okay. And if I don't see how it applies to me, then I'm going to bounce off of it as well. Another fun fact before we move on to the next slide, because I could talk about that stuff I'm learning on my dissertation all day. I love this stuff. Another big thing that they're seeing is they need to, like, students are going to go find YouTube videos anyways, but the confidence and the validity of what they're finding, it is a huge increase whenever the instructor is validating the fact that they can use YouTube. If you're not giving any extra resources for your class, you're doing your students a disservice, because they're going to find those extra resources anyways. And there's a huge amount of confidence and lack of confusion and an influx of clarity when students are learning outside of the classroom, when the teacher supports that extra learning through YouTube. Okay, sorry, didn't mean for this slide to last that long, but you guys know, if I start talking about, oh, you guys don't know, but I'll tell you now. If I start talking about that stuff I'm studying and learning for my dissertation, I could talk about it for 2 hours, and I only have 13 more minutes. So I'm gonna hit you with the basics. What should you shoot with? Well, obviously you want something with decent quality. You need something that can stand up on its own. That way, if you're filming yourself, you can prop it up. Most of the time, you can just prop it on a shelf. You can prop it on some books. Whatever you need to can be your tripod. I'll tell you this. The most important thing that you do with video is not the quality of the video. It is the audio. If I was talking to you guys right now, you might only be looking at my screen, at my slideshow presentation. You don't even see my face. So the quality of my video camera doesn't matter. But if you guys could not hear me, you would have already bounced out of this Spark, because you would not be able to know what I'm saying, and it wouldn't make sense to you. You would be confused and you would bounce. Okay. So audio is the most important. We will watch a video of our niece or nephew on Facebook that looks like it was filmed on a potato, as long as we can hear what people are saying. Okay. So what camera should you use? Always use the best camera you have on you. And I'll be honest, most of the time, that is your cell phone. Okay, if you have a nice fancy camera, great. Okay, you don't have to spend 10, 20 grand on a camera to go out and make YouTube videos. Some of the best YouTubers out there, some of the most viewed YouTubers in the world, they use their phone. They use a cell phone for most of their filming. TikToks are almost exclusively filmed on a phone, and they're getting billions of views. Okay, so use your phone. Okay, it is about that, and it's about the content you're producing. Now, I'm going to give you some quick tips. So if you want to grab your phone, I'm going to show you real quick how to film with your phone. These are best practices, okay? First off, when you're holding it out there, let's not, you can hold like this if you want for like an Instagram story or Snapchat or a TikTok, but most of the time when we go to the movie theater, we watch it like this. So try to film like this. Now, next thing, you want to hold it eye level. See this? Eye level. Whenever you go too low, you look like my dad opening up Facebook for the first time. Like, I don't know if this is working, guys. Okay, and it's a terrible angle. And you don't want to go like this because it's like a selfie in the bathroom. You don't want any part of that. You want to go eye level with where the camera is, where your stuff is. Whenever you're talking on a Zoom call, you want to do that, okay? You want eye level. Next thing, and again, this happens to everybody. When you're recording it, make sure you hit record. I'm not kidding. I usually give it a second or two where I see the number counting up. I don't just trust that I hit the button. I have recorded so much stuff that I wasn't actually recording. So make sure you hit record. Look directly at the camera. If you ever watch a video from somebody and it looks like they're like right here and they're like, hey, this is looking so great. How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, you know, the quote from The Office where he's like, meet my eye line, Jim. And he's like, look at me in the eyes. That's what people feel like. The reason people aren't looking at the camera is because they're staring at themselves on the cell phone. Okay, so the next tip I'm going to give you, it's good for that tip, but also it solves this one as well. Write bullet points before you start recording and put it on a Post-it. Then stick that Post-it on your phone. It'll prevent you from staring at yourself the entire time, and you'll be able to have notes so you're not like, hello, I don't know, whatever. Okay, Next one, and this is the most important thing with filming with a video camera, your quality, it is 100% contingent upon the lighting. So get somewhere where you have decent lighting. You don't want to stand out in the sun. Looks like you're getting beamed up, Scotty. You don't want any part of that. You want to be near a window. You want the window reflecting onto your face, okay? It's great lighting. Next, with audio, you want to talk like if this is like my normal voice, which is my normal voice. This is how I usually talk when I'm talking to a human being. I'm not talking like that, but I'm not screaming. I'm going about 60%. I'm going a little bit above, like if 100% is screaming, 50% is my normal voice, I want to go about 60%, and I want to talk a little bit louder. That's going to allow the camera to pick you up more clearly, and it's going to cut out some of that background noise. So you want to talk a little bit louder than normal. Another thing too, don't cover up your mic. When you're holding it, don't cover up the microphone. What I like to do is I like to hold my hand and make like a directional, can y'all see this? Make a directional mic that cups it, and it protects some of that wind. You don't want to be in the wind. If you're in the wind, you might as well be skydiving. Okay, cool. Here's a video. If you're in this slideshow, there's a video that goes through all those tips. It's great for you if you need a reminder on how to do what I just told, but also good for students. Okay, 4 types of video storytelling. Number 1, Casey Neistat, YouTuber. He is a fantastic storyteller. He had a season of a show on HBO, but he really got popular when he started making YouTube vlogs. Here is his theory on building out story. And he's done these for 10-minute to 15-minute vlogs. He's done it for 3-minute commercials. He's done it for 1.5-hour long movies. Number 1, it's about the setup. People need to know what's happening. Remember we talked about earlier, people don't want to be confused and they want to know how it applies to them. You've got to do that in the setup or you'll lose them early. Number 2, they need to know the conflict. What is the problem? What are we trying to solve? What do we not know? And then 3, the resolution. We want to resolve that conflict, okay? So those are your top 3 things. If you do this in every story, you will capture people's attention. This is a great way and a simple way to tell a story. Before you start a video for anything, you want to hit these 3 things. Here is how most YouTube videos will be laid out. You have like a preview clip to kind of like grab your attention. They'll hit you with their intro content, explaining either what day it is or what the topic is. Then you have the content, you have the outro, and then sometimes they'll leave you with something fun or give you time to subscribe. Next model, call this one the Jenga model. This is the one, have you guys ever watched a YouTube video where someone rolls in and it's like the first like few seconds is them like about to jump off a cliff into the water, or they're about to bungee jump, or they're about to skydive, or they're trying to juggle and they're like, ah, and they yell, and then it cuts to them talking. What they're doing is they're giving you the climax of their video so that you stick around and then you know what it's going to end up, and then you're sticking around to see that actually happen. So it's like Jenga, because you know when you Jenga, like the longer you play Jenga, the more nervous everybody gets, a little sweatier you get. That's because it increases the level of nerves or whatever determines. So it needs to be a cliffhanger at the intro. You don't want to show them what actually happens. You want to cut it off before that actually hits. And so here's some examples in here. Here's some templates you can use if you have access to the slide. Third one, I got this one from Storybrand. Donald Miller, he has a marketing company. And this is one that almost every story you watch, every movie you watch, every book you read has this mentality. It's the hero and the guide, okay? Whenever you are teaching a class, you need to present yourself not as the hero, as, oh, I'm a walking Encyclopedia Britannica. No, you want to be the guide to help those students learn and grow. Same thing with your videos. If you're the hero in all your videos, people are going to start checking out because they want to be the hero. You need to be the guide. Yoda is the guide. Skywalker is the hero. Here is a very long, convoluted script you can follow on identifying who the characters are, the problem, and then what people want. This is like marketing 101 with Storybrand. So there's a screenshot of something you can use if you want. It's from the Storybrand Framework. It's on how to build out a story. That's in the presentation. Next one. So anybody ever heard of David Dobrik? He's one of the most popular YouTubers and TikTokers out there. He is doing like 4-minute videos on YouTube that are getting millions of views. And it's because he's making it into like a sitcom. He is making it to where people that watch it, they don't say like, oh, he's impressive, or oh, he's a great dude, whatever. He's just like a dude that wears a lot of black t-shirts and loves Chipotle, okay? The thing that people love about him is that they want to be his friend. They want to hang out with him and his friends. Think of your favorite podcasts. Why do you like them? Probably because it's a conversation and it feels like you're sitting in the room hearing from a couple of your friends. And that's what he does with his videos. He doesn't have a script, but he does have a rough model. We call this the Buoy model. You have these key points of things you want to hit. You probably do this with your teaching or your presentations. You have things that you want to hit, and you might veer off course a little bit. You might swim, you might duck your head, swim out, and look up and go, I need to go that way. And you start swimming that way. But you're always finding yourself to the buoys. Okay. And that's kind of how he sets up his vlogs. Okay. What's hot now? I'm going to roll through these real quick. These are popular videos on YouTube. You got vlogs. That's a story of someone's life. This is the new reality TV because it's more reality because it's not going through a production company. All right. Number 2, tutorials. Teaching is important. We know this. That's why we're educators. 3, lists. Top 10 of this, top 10 of that. People want to get succinct information on topics that they care about. Number 4, gaming. This is a growing area and it's going to only continue to grow. So if your kid's like, I'm going to be a professional gamer, cool. They need to be really good at video games and or they need to have a really good personality. They can make quite a living. I've got a buddy, all he does is collect retro stuff, and he is now making more from his YouTube stuff than he does from his day job. So you can do it. You just got to focus and find your niche and lean in. Speaking of niches, with the news, we all know that depending on which news station you go to, news channel you go watch, you know what kind of story you're going to get. Well, now on YouTube with all these other media outlets, people are getting even more niche with the platforms and the things they want to hear and the way they want to hear stuff. Number 6, unboxing videos. These are popular, but they're super weird. So you can make them if you want. You can make some money on them, but they're weird. Last thing I want to talk about today. This is the last thing. I want to talk about the 4 C's to building an audience. If you do these 4 things, you will build an audience online. Number 1, make good content. Okay, you can have all the best marketing in the world. If your product isn't good, people aren't going to want to watch. Okay, so have good content. Continue to create good content. People want it to feel authentic. It's good content. I have Adobe Spark on here. I actually started moving on to Canva for my thumbnails and things like that. Number 2, be consistent. You know when Friends came on NBC, Thursdays at 7 p.m. You know I knew that because when I was a junior high, I used to watch Friends on NBC at 7 p.m. Be consistent. People want to know when they can watch your show, when they can watch your videos, when they can receive your content. They don't want it to be a merry-go-round or an Easter egg hunt where they have to find it. Be consistent. Third thing, collaborate. This spreads your audience. A lot of people are afraid to collaborate because they're like, oh, if I go over there, she'll steal all my people. People can subscribe to more than one channel. All you're doing is you're matching up people with similar interests and you build both of your audiences. So find people that have similar stuff that you can collaborate with, okay? Last 4 of the C's is community. This is probably the most important. Be a part of the community. You're gonna build a community and then you're gonna be a part of the community. Do that for your people and they're going to feel valued. It's the same thing with your classroom and your students. They want to feel valued. They want to feel part of the community. It's one of the hardest things to do with online learning is building that community because you're not in front of them every day. You've got to find ways to build community and connect with your audience. Guys, that's it. I have 2 minutes left. If anybody has any questions, I would love to answer them. I've been on YouTube for a hot minute. If you want, my YouTube channel is Tarver Academy, but no pressure. That's short for pressure. But that's pretty much it. That's what I got. Man, I talk way too fast. I'm so sorry. You guys are great. Coming up next, Your Beautiful Google Site by Tom Mulaney.
Tyler, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
That was a complete upskilling in YouTube for everybody there.
Yeah, it was a crash course for sure.
But great to see. Thank you for delivering that spark.
Thank you, sir.
There's someone asking a question in the chat about adding a link to your channel. Do you want to drop a link to your channel in the chat?
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
And obviously everyone knows the link is in the chat for the next session if you want to jump on over.
Sorry, I forgot how links work.
You got it? Wonderful.
Thanks, Tyler. That was awesome.
Thank you. You guys were very nice to sit there and